Welcome to Mildura Weekly, and joining me today is Head of Victorian Road Policing Operations, Superintendent John Fitzpatrick. John, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, John.
John, this weekend there's going to be a major cross-border road blitz in Sunraysia. Tell me about your involvement with it and what will people see?
So, what people can expect this weekend is increased police presence within Mildura and some of the surrounding areas, and that's in consultation with the local policing command, and in answer to some of the road trauma that Mildura and some of those surrounding areas have experienced.
Now, we've seen in Victoria a spike in fatalities this year. I think as of the 14th of July it was sitting at about 164, up more than 52% over last year's figure. What do you think's behind this?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's part of the challenge for us as an organisation is to actually try and drill down to find out what the issues are. But I think what we've seen is some excessive speeds in some of these accidents. People using mobile phones, and without trying to blame victims, it's part of our lives today are really busy, and people are always in a hurry. And so once they're in a hurry, then they tend to do things that they probably normally wouldn't do. But again, we are constantly trying to drill down and to work out what some of these factors are so we can actually address them. And
some of the stats that stand out are males are more likely to be killed and on country roads.
Yeah, unfortunately, young men, we see a spike in that. And the other alarming thing for those that live in these rural areas is, country people are dying on country roads. So one of the things that we're trying to do is that, to encourage everyone that gets into a car is to wear a seat belt. Drive within the conditions of that road. So a lot of the country roads, as you know, are 100 kilometres an hour, and people may be uncomfortable at driving that. If you are, then drive at whatever speed it is that you're comfortable driving. And what I would say is that you need to be driving at a speed that if something occurs in front of you, that you have the ability and the skill to be able to take whatever action it is you need to take.
Well, talking of seatbelts, I'm old enough to remember a campaign called Declare War on 1034, and it ultimately led to the first seatbelt, compulsory seatbelt legislation in the world, in fact, in Victoria. And .05 followed that and so on. It's come down a long way, but now we're seeing this trend up. You're battling with the issues of mobile phones and drugs and perhaps people's lifestyles being in a hurry, as you said. What's the focus to fix that problem?
Look, I think it's a range of things, and I think what we've steered away from historically is using numbers, because what we find is behind every one of these deaths on the road is a family, and a family that's lost a loved one. So we don't refer to them as numbers anymore. They're actually real people that actually the impact it has on families and the wider families and the communities, and especially in places like Mildura and smaller places, it has a devastating effect on some of those locals that are involved in this. So it's really around for young men. We were talking about young men a moment ago. Is they need to have that leadership piece within their culture, and to say to their mates, if they see a mate that gets into a car that's either been drinking or taking drugs, is they've got to stop it. Because if they really value that friendship, and that we want all these young people to be leaders, then they need to do something about it. And leadership's not about just being a good bloke. It's about challenging behaviour that's poor, and that's what they need to do.
And whilst the focus is on fatalities, of course, there's another road toll, and that's perhaps a hidden figure, and that's the result of serious accidents. People are injured, sometimes they become paraplegics, lives are ruined, people can't work, and as you say, families are devastated.
Yeah.
That's a big number. It used to cost the community more than $5 billion a year in Australia. Yeah. I'd hate to think what it is now.
Yeah, I don't know what that figure is, but within our road policing command, it's the hidden tragedy is serious injury collisions, because what you say is absolutely right. Is that people often forget. They see that it's not a death, but they don't see the trauma that's afforded after that. Like you say, people being paraplegics, or people having brain injuries that require 24-hour respite. So there is a whole range of things that sit behind the fatalities in that serious injury space that does cost, but it also has a massive impact on families and the wider community in terms of, these people have all got friends that they've always been involved with, and that sort of drops away. The families don't see the same sort of people anymore. So it has a devastating effect, and what we need to do is, we have a bit of control over that, and that is that we need to be able to slow down, we need to wear seat belts, we need to put the phone away, and if you're tired, we need to stop driving. So we do have control over a lot of these factors that create this road trauma.
Well, we wish you all the best this weekend in combating these issues, and perhaps you'd like to direct your message directly to the camera to people who are going to be out on the roads this weekend at Sunraysia.
Thanks, John. What we would ask that if you're around the Sunraysia district this week is that if you're going to drink alcohol or take drugs, don't get into a motor car. We will be out in force from the local highway patrols to the local uniform to a whole range of task force members coming up from Melbourne. You'll see us driving around. If you're going to drive a motor car, wear a seat belt, drive within the speed limit, put your mobile phone away, and if you're going to sporting outlets, remember we will be around. So if you're going to drink or take drugs and get into a vehicle, we're going to be waiting for you. So we don't want to be party poopers. We want you to have a good time, but we want you to do it responsibly. We want you to respect yourselves, and we want you to respect those other road users.
Superintendent, thank you very much for joining us today.
Good, thanks, John.
And you can see more news at milduraweekly.com.au.